Smooth 98.1 Love Music, Love Life. I'm Ayo Myro Essay, and you are welcome to today's edition of Freshly Pressed 981. It's 7:30 a.m. Tuesday, 25th of May 2021. On this morning, I have joining me to analyze the news stories Uwade Ahimia. Good morning, Uwade.
Good morning, Ayo. Great to be here.
Excellent. We also have Olakunle Yusuf. Good morning, Olakunle.
Good morning, Ayo. Good morning, Wadi.
Good morning,
Good
Lakunle.
morning, Lagos.
You're welcome. You can find Olakunle at Lakunle70 and Wade at Wade Ahimi _ on Twitter. Find us at Smooth 981 FM. Use the hashtag Freshly Pressed 981 for to track your message. And then also on WhatsApp, you can send us a message on 0809 444 0981. We're streaming live on YouTube. Kindly use the YouTube chat section to send in your message. YouTube is youtube.com/smooth981fm Lagos. All right, let's get straight to our first story, Olakunle. Asaba declaration, governors disagree as presidency backs Malami on open grazing ban. This is in the Punch newspaper. The presidency, through the senior special assistant to the president on media and publicity, Garba Shehu, gave the presidency's position in a statement titled President Buhari OK's deep-rooted solutions to herdsmen attacks clears way for ranching and revival of forest reserves. In the statement, they've dubbed the meeting as acts of politicking intended by its signatories to demonstrate power. Please take us through the story.
Here we go again, Nigeria, our government at every level. The first question that comes to my mind is, so what's the use of the Land Use Act? The Act gives the power to administer lands in the respective states and vested this authority in the governor. I guess that's why governors sign the CFOs that we get, which also gives them the power to revoke, and all the excuse they need to give or any reason they need to give is for public good. Okay, so if the governors have that power, so why do we say that they don't have the power to say, to make that kind of declaration that we're going to restrict use of land for so purposes? In my opinion, I think that much of the problem we are discussing here is territorial. It's not much more about the constitution, as it were. Okay, so even the federal government needs lands in a state. They have to go through the governor to get the land that they need for whatever purpose. So it suggests to me that the governor of Ondo State, who is the chairman of the Nigerian Governors Forum, said, let us go and test in the court. Let us, for me, I would say, let the court help us to define what freedom means in spirit and in the letter as written in our constitution.
Well, what do you make of their stance that it is illegal? So let me just take a statement from what Garba Shehu said. He said, it is equally true. He said he raised the issue of legality of the Southern governor's position in view of Nigeria's rights and freedoms. So I hear you on the Land Use Act. How about the freedom of movement? He says that given the constitutional right of all Nigerians to enjoy the same rights and freedoms within every one of our 36 states and FCT, regardless of the state of their birth or residence. They're saying it's challenging that. What's your take on this?
That's why I said we need the court to define or to determine what freedom means in the letter and the spirit of the word itself. Okay, so that we're not using the English definition, as it were. In English, freedom means you can do anything you like. Yeah. In law, is that the same thing that it means? If I want to start a business in, say, Bayelsa today, I'm going to apply to the governor for land. Am I not?
Yes.
So if I have the freedom to do that, so somebody who wants to do cattle rearing should also apply to the governor of whichever state.
So
he has the freedom to do that.
Yes.
So the governor ultimately has a right to say, look, I'm not going to give you a CFO for ranching in Victoria Island, for example, but I can give you in Epe. I'm not going to give you land to set up a bank, for example, in Epe, but I can give you in Ikoyi.
How about the mode of operation, though? So this is not just about providing land for ranching; it's even about open grazing. Because I know this is in response to the ban on open grazing by the southern governors.
Yes, the implication is that they're actually restricting. Don't let us forget that there is something they also call town planning. What fits a specific location
Okay.
and so on and so forth. Like you have your school, you would ordinarily imagine that there should not be a market, for example. So the government, the government to ensure that proper town planning takes place. I would not want to have a cattle a hospital, for example. So I would look at what is available in my state to say, look, for all the land you need, even if it's going to be open,
Yeah.
I'm restricting you to this place and this place. You cannot come onto Lekki Expressway rearing your cattle
Okay.
because of the implication of the risk, the health, or whatever it is that I would have considered. So even I'm saying to say it's free, yes, you can graze openly, or do it between Badagry and Topo, and don't come outside of there.
So they have a right to.
So yes,
Okay.
exactly. You have to do all that. Those are the things that are there. So for me, bottom line, if we are challenging, if the federal government is challenging this and as to the legality of it, we have the courts there. Let's enforce. The man championing it from the governor's side is his son. The man championing it from the federal government side is also his son. So simple, let's go to court and resolve it from there. But I don't think that the governors don't have the powers to restrict what the lands in their respective domains can be used for.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. So the Southern Governors Forum is chaired by Governor Rotimi Akeredolu. Review, reps begin zonal public hearings on June the 1st. Premium Times reports, please listen attentively to this particular story because it is something that we have discussed a number of times. If we date back to criticism, one of the biggest criticisms of the current constitution, which came into law in 1999, is that people say it is military driven. So it doesn't quite represent the democratic nature of Nigeria currently. Well, the House of Representatives Special Committee on Constitutional Review has fixed June 1 to June 3 for its zonal public hearings taking place across the country's 6 geopolitical zones.
I think this is long overdue. Like you said, the Constitution of 1999 was one that was put together under a military era, and it's time for us as Nigerians, not just as states or whatever, to come together and actually go out and listen and see what the changes that are being proposed will be. It's very important that we take note of where these hearings are going to happen.
Yes.
They say there'll be 2 centers in each zone. The North Central Zone public hearing would hold in Jos, which will be for Plateau, Benue, Nasarawa State, and FCT will be where that will be the areas that would be able to listen to the hearing in Jos, Plateau State. And the other one will be in Lokoja, where states like Kogi, Niger, and Kwara can attend. They've also provided the Northeast, which is Bauchi, for states that relates to Bauchi, Borno, and Yobe, and Yola for Center has Adamawa, Taraba, and Gombe states. I urge Nigerians to go and get the information relating to where those things are going to happen in the Southwest, in the Southeast, and let everybody participate. One of the good things about listening to this and challenging some of the things or proposing new ideas about it is that we need to get a new constitution that is reflective of the general populace of Nigeria, irrespective of tribe and tongue. And a good example for me will be what happened in Chile, where after almost 40 years, they changed the constitution. And today, we see the effect of that in the way people go out to vote and people represent the various geopolitical and other strata of the population as it is. So this is a welcome development. June 1 to June 3 is really, really important for Nigeria, not just.
Thank you very much. So Okuda Mikondo says, since Madam is the chief legal advisor of the president, the position of the presidency would definitely not be different from him. We need square pegs and square holes, he said. Chris said the analysis is so on point. The land vests all land with each state on the governor. The governor has on such lands for public good. Federal government knows this, and its insistence on grazing in land-challenged southern states when some northern states have offered vast lands for same is difficult to understand. All right, let's move on to our next story here. And Emeka Amowo is already giving us his comment on that. And that is the bill seeking to scrap NYSC, that's the National Youth Service Corps, reaches second reading in House of Reps. This bill is sponsored by the lawmaker representing Anthony Okpobo in federal constituency of River State, Awaji Inombek Abiante. In the explanatory memorandum of the proposal, the bill listed various reasons why the NYSC should be scrapped, and that I'd love for you to highlight some of these reasons. However, at the end, I'd also like for you to tell us, do you think the NYSC has outlived its purpose? It was established during the military regime of General Yakubu Gowon under Decree number 24 of 1973.
Picking it up from there, the reasons why NYSC came on board is well known, well documented. Over the years, it will be 48 years now that we've had that scheme.
Yeah.
And there have been a lot of positives. It has achieved for some people this reason that it was established.
Yeah.
It was an opportunity for some people to actually leave their homes for the first time. When I say home, I mean their comfort zones for the first time in their life to experience a different part of the country.
Mm-hmm.
It has provided some form of a transition from being dependent to being more independent for some people. Mm-hmm. It has provided marriage opportunities for other people, intertribal marriages. It has provided so many of those things. Some would have been gainfully employed in a state that was not even their state of origin because of the outstanding performances during that 1 year period, and so on and so forth. But when we look at where we are today, we keep doing the same thing for the past 48 years. You leave university, you get posted, primary assignment in a government institution, private institution, and then after that 1 year you go home, nothing, and so on and so forth. And then they are under remunerated. The security challenges we have now. So those things are the things that makes this consideration by this House of Rep member make you want to think that yes, we should discontinue this program. In my opinion, I don't think that is the best solution. I think that what we should be looking at is to reinvent the program itself. So what about if we say, okay, your state of origin is, say, Benue. You went to school in, say, Enugu. Okay, so choose between Benue and Enugu as your place of primary assignment. So you are not far from where you are already familiar with. Or that, let's even make it optional. Let people decide themselves that I want to go for a national youth service.
Okay.
Or let's even say where we are today. Let's say, for example, that I want to turn into the first level of recruitment into our military and paramilitary services. Okay. Let them go and take that 1 year for people to decide whether I want to stay or I don't want to stay. So there are many things that we can think of. Closing it immediately tells me, I ask two questions of myself. One, what happens to all the staff of the National Service Corps today?
I don't think, the proposal is to scrap it, but of course there will be a plan of action.
Yes, so I'm thinking ahead to all those guys. Do they stand jobless immediately it is scrapped? Mm-hmm. Is there a plan to either integrate them into different MDAs, or you are going to tell them, okay, this is your gratuity or your pension, you can go home? What happens to people that have built industry around the NYSC, the landlords, the food vendors who maybe we say annually that they sell food in the camps on an annual basis, and so on and so forth.
Let me ask a question now. What the rep has highlighted is that NYSC has led to the incessant killing of innocent corps members in some parts of the country due to the state of insecurity in our nation. Mm-hmm. Also, the fact that MDAs you mentioned are no longer recruiting able and qualified Nigerian youth. Who are they're not well remunerated. They get discarded with impunity at the end of the service year without any hope of being gainfully employed. So the picture you paint, Lakunle, is the picture that obtained in the early years, and even mid-year of the NYSC being set up. And that's why I asked the question, has it outlived its purpose? Is this still functioning? The reason I'm asking you is that the things you mentioned intertribal marriage, understanding of other cultures, can they be achieved in other ways aside? I'm Yoruba. I'm married to a Delta man. I didn't meet him through the NYSC. So I'm saying that Nigeria has become, and we talk about freedom of movement. We have intertwined in many ways. The NYSC is still on, yet we have seen an increase in, almost as if people are now defining themselves again by tribe, and NYSC is still on. So I'm saying that, is it still achieving that point? I'm not saying it never did, but should we be looking at other things and not just as we have evolved as a nation? Because NYSC is still happening. People are still identifying as, oh, I'm Fulani, you're Igbo, you're this. So is it serving that purpose?
That's why I said that we need to re-strategize. We can't keep doing the same thing the same way for 40 years.
Yeah.
And if the results we are getting is not different, it should tell us that we should do something else. That's why I said again that if I'm from Enugu and I went to school in Benue, can I choose either of the two? Because I'm still in somewhere I'm familiar with. And
does that not now defeat the purpose of?
We are redefining it now.
Okay.
We are redefining what it is for us.
Okay.
The purpose originally was for integration before. Now we are seeing that it's not working for integration. Can it work for something else?
All right.
So that's where my own focus is.
I knew we were going to spend, we'll have to move on because of our time, but so it's such a great conversation. Please, let's take this on to Lagos Talks 91 at 9 o'clock. So please tune in at that time. Abayomi says that he served in Cross River State. It was the best 1 year of his life at that time. He also learned about, a few things about their culture, the delicacy. It's now second home. He helped to curb bigotry and by choosing, because they would choose Lagos. You want to feel this thing? What he said. All right. Then Kule from Abuja says, the level of insecurity in the nation is the major issue for me here. I served about 10 years ago at Hadejia in Jigawa, and it was one of the most exciting 12 months of my life. I lived in Lagos before then and went to school in Ife. As of today, I don't want anyone I know taking the risk of going that far for NYSC. So I'm saying, so in the early days, it was, we've heard fantastic stories of NYSC, but just as with a number of initiatives, a number of laws, just as we are doing a constitution review, should they be reviewed? Has it outlived its purpose? But that's up for debate. Let's move on very quickly. I think the comments come through. Reps query NHIS 152 million naira sanitizers, face masks, others spending fund. Well, this story, I had to bring up my calculator.
I did too.
Take us to, because they said that according to them, the project executed in 2022, they spent 37,186,825 to purchase 500 packs of N95 face masks and 500 packs of disposable face masks. Okay,
so the whole world itself was in danger of not being able to get.
It wasn't important. The amount of money spent.
Yeah, but it like then N95 masks were barely available. So I'm not justifying that 152 million is the right amount, but it could possibly have gotten as high as that. But when you look at the other things that money has been spent on, it seems ridiculous when you pay 2.47 million naira for 1,000 liters of diesel. At what that means each one was how much? 247 naira.
Of which one?
Or 2,470 naira for a liter of diesel.
Oh yes, yeah.
That's ridiculous. And when you even look at the other ones, the 8,000 liters for 2.4 million, 301 naira per liter, 200, and at the point where diesel was costing maybe between 200 and 220. So it's all these things come to play. But by and large, for me, the major issue here is they are not even generating enough revenue to fund their expenditure.
How many
So
people are
in 2019, based on what they remitted, they said they remitted 25% to the total revenue total revenue of 20.5 million. So invariably, they generated about 82 million. And that's in 2019.
Yeah.
And in 2020, where you spent 152 million on sanitizers alone, or health care product, you generated only 58.8 million. So where is all that money coming from? And these are the things that we need to check with a lot of all these NDAs and government parastatals.
Yeah.
You spend more money than you can generate, and we've said it so many times. where all this money is coming from. And that's
Can
why
I just say one statement
Please
there?
go ahead.
Let all these MDAs start to generate the money they are going to spend themselves.
oh yeah,
You'll see a change.
luckily
Who's going to bear the burden?
we've
We are going to bear the burden.
we've knocked that bell so many times now.
So-
We're actually getting tired of saying that. Generate it. However,
Don't give them ideas. Let
no,
them
no,
fix it.
let
first
them
of all.
fix the things. The thing about it, and that's why our recurrent expenditure on the budget is extremely high.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Because the NDAs, they will tell you we're a revenue generation NDA, and you cannot fund your expenditure.
NHIS should ideally be able to be self-sufficient
yeah.
with some support once in a while from the
Yeah,
government.
especially maybe during the
Yeah.
COVID period. But you can't spend 152 million in a year that generated 82 million. And that's on just one aspect.
You're not generating income and you're spending lavishly.
They say it's CSR.
Okay, let's move on to so let's talk security now. We have a number of stories and I'll take them back to back because of our time. Protesters burned police station along Kaduna Abuja highway. Premium Times reports that according to this report, youth protesting against rampant cases of kidnapping on the Kaduna Abuja highway have burnt down a police station in Baraka in Tafa local government area of Niger State. According to this report, one of the protesters, the young people, so the police described them as miscreants. However, one of them spoke to the Premium Times saying that the reason why they became aggressive was because the policemen came there and started shooting into the air, and a number of things disrupted traffic yesterday. The grouse of these young people is the state of insecurity that the government needs to address kidnapping, banditry in that area. Please take us to the story, Lakunle.
Where does one start from? Except that to say that the word or the phrase unknown gunmen, miscreants, are becoming cliche in our national lingo. At this point, let me first start by saying that it's important that we impress it on our young people that anger, though we have a right, we have a justification to be angry, but anger to the extreme does not and will not solve the problem that's on ground. Also, we need to tell the police at this point, we know that people are angry. We also need to learn training for the men of our military and paramilitary forces to learn to engage civilians in different manner. From this story, apparently the youth got angry because the police arrived, shot into the air, thinking that they would disperse because they blocked the expressway. I mean, there could have been a better way to engage them, to get them off the road, rather than come and shoot into the air. And for the young people who were angry and then went to destroy the police station. So if you say you are insecure, the little of, no matter how insignificant it is, the little of security you have also now gone to destroy. That means now you're at zero level. So those are the things. It's very important that, yes, the government has its own responsibility, but we should not give them an excuse to say the police station you have destroyed, that's why there's no security in the place. We need to be very careful. It's a very sensitive matter.
Suffering the after effect of the entire protest. Well,
exactly.
The
violence afterwards. Yes. So we need to be very careful. We need to manage these situations very properly as citizens, as adults, as young people, as the police or any other paramilitary force or military forces that it may be. We are human beings, don't forget, and tempers will flare at various times. The governments need to show us that there's something is being done to address these things. It's not enough to come to the newspaper, the TV, and tell us we will. Let us see some action. Let us see that something is being done.
So, very quickly, how do we then address this response from the young people? I say that because we have another headline on INEC coming out to say that attacks on offices has now become a national emergency. I know that's not, it's not by the young people. This is more criminal. However, how do we deal with responses to, when people are not happy about something, like what happened post EndSARS whereby some hooligans said to use that as a free for all, destroyed public property, and now this one, police stations are being burnt, a number of things are happening. What do we do? Is it a reorientation? What do we do with to address the situation?
I remember growing up in Ibadan. We didn't have access to TV then, but we had access to radio. There was what they call the old redifusion and the redifusion house in Ibadan in those days. One house has a speaker fixed to it, and the whole street can hear the radio from there.
Yeah.
And there were so many government-sponsored jingles, what they call skits today, on TV, on radio, that kept ingraining in people's psyche what makes a good citizen, what makes a government responsible. Talk about how to use public water, how to do NEPA, how to everything was so much that in your head you are thinking that have I done the right thing about this thing? Have I done the right thing about this thing? So where is the National Orientation Agency today in this country? The Federal Ministry of Information and Culture, what have they done for us? I mean, exactly. So even up to the time of the military during the Babangida era, we had MAMSA. They recruited the best brain in communication. They communicated. Can you remember? I'm tired. Andrew, don't check out.
Yes.
I'm sick. So those things. That was 40 years ago. I still remember that what do I call it? Advert very clearly. That campaign. I remember very clearly the word for word what was said in that enabling label was Andrew. I remember it very well. So what are we doing now to engage our young people? Yes, quite a number of them are out there unemployed. What are we doing to encourage them to get vocational training? What are we doing to provide these things that will make them see something in different light than just being there and angry? It is the anger that is causing what we're seeing.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And I'm glad I asked that question because we have to start having these conversations. We cannot just say that. We have to talk about. I like that you've drawn from history, what was done, the fact that communication was right. We're spending so much money releasing statements and buying sanitizers where we can use that money. Things are happening. Young people are disgruntled. Young people are idle, and it's only a matter of time. It's like it's waiting to explode. But we don't want to get to that point before it happens. Let me take a few comments from our listeners. From YouTube, I know because of our time we can't take a lot, but please at 9:00 during Lagos Talks 9:01, we'll take more comments and even phone calls. Chinenye Onu Kuba says when you evaluate the costs and benefits, there can be no rational basis to continue the NYSC program. Miorazan says, let them revamp the program and turn it into an entrepreneurship program that is regionalized. All right, a few more on our WhatsApp platform. I can't take them because of our time. But at 9:00 I will. 100 killed in Benue. Residents say troops overwhelmed in the Punch newspaper. This happened over the weekend. Parts of Benue State as suspected herders in connivance with local bandits killed over 100 people in Katsina Ala, local government area of Benue State. This is very sad. Please take us to the story.
Extremely sad. Benue State has been one of the hottest points of insecurity in the last couple of months, and the governor has come out severally to ask its citizens to defend itself with, you name it, local weapons and all. According to the story, Atera further said that troops were overwhelmed, saying the attackers have developed a strategy of striking in different places at the same time. The first thing we need to understand is that the military is overstretched because they're fighting too many insurgents in too many places. So you're fighting Boko Haram, you're fighting herdsmen, you're fighting bandits, you're fighting kidnappers. So the insurgents all over Nigeria is just extreme. And how many people do we have in the army, in the air force? What are the capabilities of our Nigerian forces? So when you look at it, I'm taking a cue from what Lakule said. How are we educating ourselves about all these things? But a major part is because of the fact that the economic situation in Nigeria has continually gone down, and a lot of people are looking for a way to survive. And one of the easiest ways is to carry a gun, and access to guns today have become like
Proliferation.
yeah. So at the end of the day, we need it's more than the president releasing a statement that we are going to deal with insecurity. We every day we get a statement from Shehu Garba on the presidency telling us that we are going to deal with insecurity, but there are no actions being seen. So you must back your statement with actions, and that for me is what the governor of um, of Benue State has said. I don't think it's exactly the right way, but if I have to do self-defense, then it's going to be justifiable for them. And it's sad that 100 people were killed in 4 areas of Benue State.
Thank you so very much. We're out of time. Big thanks. Just as well mentioned, federal government bars 22-year aircraft from Nigeria and releases 5 billion naira aviation bailout to support in time because of after the effect of COVID-19. A big thanks to our analysts for today. Thank you, Lakunle Yusuf at Lakunle70 on Twitter. A big thanks to Uade Ahimie at Uade Ahimie _ on Twitter, and of course to all our listeners. Thank you for your comments and your contributions. Don't forget, in an hour's time, we will discuss these headline stories in detail. Tune in to Lagos Talks 981. I'll take some of the WhatsApp messages that we couldn't read out because of our time, and we hopefully will delve in deeper into the conversation. In a few minutes, let's talk entertainment in the Grapevine 981 Smooth 98.1. I'm Ayo Mairo.